Picture two kitchens on the same Sunday evening. In one, a refrigerator is packed after a huge weekly shopping trip. There are salad leaves hidden behind large bottles, 3 sauces bought for one recipe, and vegetables with no clear destination. Everything looked useful under the supermarket lights. By Thursday, some of it will look tired, and nobody will remember the original plan. In the other kitchen, the refrigerator looks almost surprisingly modest. There is rice, tofu, eggs, 2 kinds of vegetables, a little fish, and several small frozen portions. It may not look abundant, yet dinner can still take several different forms. This second kitchen could belong to an ordinary household in Japan. It is not proof that every Japanese family shops perfectly. Japan still throws away millions of tons of edible food, and rising prices are affecting households there too. However, several Japanese food traditions offer a useful alternative to the enormous weekly haul. The central idea is simple. Food is chosen according to how it will move through the kitchen. That movement begins before the shopping basket is touched. Before leaving home, many careful shoppers begin with a quiet inspection. They open the refrigerator, move containers forward, and check the vegetable drawer. They also look inside the freezer and the cupboard before writing a list. Japan's Consumer Affairs Agency has promoted this kind of checking as one practical way to reduce food loss. The value seems obvious, but its timing matters. Checking after shopping only tells you what you accidentally bought twice. Checking before shopping turns forgotten food into the beginning of a meal. Half a cabbage might suggest soup, while 2 eggs and leftover rice might suggest fried rice. The shopping list then fills only the missing spaces. The inspection produces a very different question from, "What should I buy this week?" The better question becomes, "What do I already have, and what would help me use it?" A small change in wording can shorten the grocery list without making meals feel smaller. It also explains why a small basket can sometimes be more useful than a giant cart. Japanese households vary greatly, especially between cities, suburbs, older couples, and families with children. Still, frequent access to neighborhood supermarkets makes smaller shopping trips practical for many urban residents. The point is not that everyone should visit a store every 2 days. That could waste time, fuel, or transport money depending on where you live. The useful principle is to shorten the distance between buying fresh food and deciding how it will be eaten. Large packages often appear economical because the price per unit is lower. But the cheapest kilogram is not cheap if a third of it reaches the trash. Japanese supermarkets often sell vegetables, fish, tofu, and prepared foods in relatively manageable portions. That makes it easier to match a purchase with the next few meals. It also leaves room for another important Japanese idea, shun. Shun describes the period when a food is at its seasonal peak. Japanese food culture pays close attention to this moment, especially with vegetables, fruit, and seafood. Spring bamboo shoots, summer eggplant, autumn sweet potatoes, and winter daikon each arrive with their own mood. Seasonal food is not automatically cheaper in every country or every store. Early premium produce can even cost more. However, abundant local produce in its main season often offers better value and better flavor. More importantly, shun loosens the grip of a rigid shopping list. Instead of demanding strawberries in winters, the shopper notices what looks plentiful and good today. This makes the supermarket part of meal planning Rather than a warehouse for a fixed recipe, you can adapt the idea anywhere, even without knowing a Japanese seasonal calendar. Look for the produce occupying the largest display with healthy appearance and a sensible price. Then build 1 or 2 meals around it. That approach is flexible, but it does not mean buying random bargains. A discount only saves money when the food has a destination. This becomes especially important near the refrigerated sections of a Japanese supermarket. Later in the day, stores commonly mark down fish, meat, sushi, bento, and other short-life products. The exact schedule and discount vary by location, weekday, stock, and closing time, so there is no universal 7 o'clock rule. The clever part is not waiting for the deepest possible sticker. It is learning the rhythm of one nearby store and buying only what you can use safely. A discounted fish fillet for tonight can be excellent value. 3 discounted meals with no plan may simply move the store's waste problem into your refrigerator. Japan also promotes a practice called temaedori, meaning choosing items from the front when you will eat them soon. Stores usually place products with earlier dates closer to the shopper. Reaching behind for the newest date feels like getting more value, but if dinner is only hours away, that extra shelf life provides no real benefit. Choosing the nearer item can help a retailer sell food before it becomes waste. This idea works only when food safety and the package instructions are respected. It is not an invitation to ignore use-by dates or damaged packaging. It is simply a reminder to match shelf life with the actual time of use. Once the basket reaches the fresh food section, Japanese home cooking offers another lesson. Useful ingredients are often chosen for their ability to play more than one role. Consider daikon, the long white radish seen in nearly every Japanese supermarket. It can be grated beside grilled fish, simmered in broth, pickled, or added to soup. Cabbage can become a shredded side dish, a stir-fry, a soup ingredient, or part of okonomiyaki. Tofu can be served cold, added to miso soup, browned in a pan, or simmered with vegetables. The savings do not come from any magical Japanese ingredient. They come from buying ingredients that remain useful when the original dinner plan changes. This is where many elaborate recipe lists become expensive. A recipe may require 12 ingredients while using only a spoonful from several packages. The finished dish may be wonderful, but the remaining ingredients become another planning problem. A flexible kitchen starts with components that already know several possible futures. Traditional meal structure helps those components find a place. One well-known expression is ichiju sansai, usually understood as 1 soup and 3 dishes alongside rice. The 3 dishes are commonly described as 1 main dish and 2 smaller side dishes. Many modern households do not prepare this complete structure at every meal. Time, family size, work, health needs, and cost all shape what people actually cook. Yet the underlying pattern remains useful. Rice, or another staple, provides the base, soup carries small ingredients, and side dishes create variety. The structure gives leftovers somewhere to go. A small amount of spinach can become a side rather than an inadequate main course. Mushroom stems can enter soup, while yesterday's grilled fish can accompany rice in a smaller portion. The meal does not demand that every ingredient become the star. This can reduce the pressure to buy large amounts of several foods at once. It can also encourage variety, though Japanese meals are not automatically balanced or low in salt. Miso, soy sauce, pickles, and prepared foods can contribute substantial sodium. The lesson is the structure, not the assumption that every traditional dish is healthy without limits. The same realism is needed when discussing tofu, natto, and seaweed. Soy foods can provide useful protein and can replace some meat in affordable meals. Natto also contains fermentation products and nutrients, but it is not a miracle food for everyone. Its strong flavor is challenging for many people, including some Japanese people. Seaweed can add flavor and minerals in a small amount, while dried forms store conveniently. However, iodine levels vary greatly between seaweed types, and very high intake can affect thyroid health. Small culinary portions make more sense than treating seaweed like an unlimited health supplement. This is an important difference between borrowing a food and borrowing the way it is used. Japanese meals often use intensely flavored ingredients in restrained amounts. A little nori may finish a rice bowl, while a small pinch of wakame expands inside soup. The ingredient supports the meal without taking over the cupboard or the budget. But the most decisive moment may happen after the shopper returns home. Groceries left in their original bags remain intentions rather than meals. Some Japanese households immediately divide meat or fish into meal-sized portions before freezing them. Cooked rice is also commonly frozen in individual portions while it is still fresh. This protects texture better than leaving a large container of rice drying in the refrigerator for days. It also creates an easy foundation when someone comes home tired. One frozen rice portion, one egg, and some vegetables can become dinner quickly. The freezer has removed several decisions from the most exhausted part of the day. Portioning also prevents one large frozen block from forcing several meals to happen at once. The goal is not to prepare every vegetable immediately. Some produce lasts longer when kept whole, dry, and stored correctly. Washing certain items too early can introduce moisture and shorten their useful life. A better rule is to prepare according to the food and your real schedule. You might wash lettuce for tomorrow while leaving mushrooms dry until they are cooked. You might slice meat before freezing, but keep a whole daikon intact for several meals. Convenience should be created without sacrificing storage life. Then comes the part of Japanese thrift that is easiest to romanticize, using more of each ingredient. The word mottainai expresses regret when something valuable is wasted or used carelessly. In the kitchen, that feeling can appear through very ordinary actions. Broccoli stems can be peeled and sliced, while clean daikon leaves can be cooked when they are fresh. Cabbage outer leaves may work in soup after damaged or dirty parts are removed. These choices stretch an ingredient, but use everything should never become a dangerous command. Not every peel, leaf, seed, or sprout is edible. Produce may also carry pesticide residues, soil, spoilage, or parts that require special preparation. Use reliable guidance for the specific ingredient, wash it properly, and discard anything unsafe. Respect for food includes respecting the body that will eat it. There is another form of waste that receives less attention because it looks responsible. It happens when a kitchen is filled with healthy foods that nobody genuinely enjoys. A bag of inexpensive dried beans saves nothing if your family repeatedly avoids them. The Japanese lesson is not to imitate a perfect refrigerator from social media. It is to notice what your household actually finishes. That information is more valuable than any universal list of bargain foods. After several weeks, patterns become visible. Perhaps leafy vegetables disappear quickly, but large sauce bottles linger for months. Perhaps frozen rice prevents takeout, while pre-cut fruit is the only fruit everyone eats. Your shopping system should respond to those facts without shame. This brings us back to the modest refrigerator from the beginning. Its strength was not minimalism for appearance. Every item had a likely next step, and several items had more than one possible use. The real savings came from coordination between the store, the refrigerator, the freezer, and the dinner table. You do not need 9 new rules on your next shopping trip. Try one closed loop instead. Check the refrigerator, choose one flexible seasonal ingredient, and decide its first 2 uses before buying it. If part remains, freeze it safely, or place it where you will see it tomorrow. That small loop is more powerful than chasing every sale in the building. Personally, I think the most beautiful part is that thrift does not have to feel like deprivation. It can feel like paying closer attention to the food already within reach. What is one ingredient your household often buys with good intentions, but still struggles to finish?